Ukraine cracks down on anti-corruption agencies. International concerns mount. The integrity of anti-corruption efforts in Ukraine is compromised, raising global alarm. The recent actions taken by Ukrainian lawmakers to impose stricter controls on two vital anti-corruption agencies have sent shockwaves through international circles, sparking serious concerns about the country's dedication to combating rampant corruption. In a decisive move, 263 out of 450 members of the Verkhovna Rada, Ukraine's parliament, voted in favor of a new law that curtails the autonomy of both the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, NABU, and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SAPO. This legislation was introduced by President Volodymyr Zelensky's political party, Servant of the People, and it fundamentally alters control within SAPO by designating the Prosecutor General as its effective leader, thereby removing authority from the agency's top official. Additionally, this law empowers the Prosecutor General with the ability to terminate investigations into high-ranking officials without any oversight and assigns cases that NABU is probing to different agencies at their discretion. Transparency International Ukraine issued a stern warning following the law's passage, stating, "With this decision, Parliament not only dismantles one of the greatest achievements of the Revolution of Dignity, a strong, independent anti-corruption structure, but also jeopardizes the trust that Ukraine's global partners have in its commitment to reform." They urged President Zelensky to veto the law, cautioning that failing to do so would mean he shares accountability for the erosion of Ukraine's anti-corruption framework. Adding to the troubling scenario, recent weeks have seen an intensified crackdown on NABU itself. On July 21, agents from Ukraine's Domestic Security Service, known as the SBU, arrested two NABU employees. One was accused of espionage on behalf of Russia, while the other faced scrutiny for alleged business connections to Russian firms. This operation included numerous raids targeting additional personnel within the bureau. The SBU alleged that some officials had ties to outlawed political factions, including one associated with a fugitive Ukrainian parliamentarian. NABU, which has been at the forefront of significant investigations that have exposed corruption among high-level officials, criticized the operation as being excessively broad, even venturing into unrelated matters such as minor traffic violations. The agency raised alarms that such a massive assault on its staff could effectively paralyze its anti-corruption efforts. In response to these unfolding developments, Transparency International labeled the SBU's actions as enormous pressure enacted on Ukraine's anti-corruption entities. Following these events, the ambassadors from the Group of 7 nations met with NABU leadership to express their serious concerns, pledging to address the situation directly with Ukraine's government. The ongoing legal and political maneuvers have amplified existing fears that Ukraine is not adequately addressing its long-standing corruption issues, with substantial resistance emerging from powerful interests intent on preserving the status quo. A notable case arose last week involving Vitaly Shabunin, a well-known anti-corruption activist and a key figure at NABU, who found himself in court over allegations of avoiding military service while collecting a monthly salary of $1,200 and misusing a military vehicle. If convicted, Shabunin could face a prison term of up to 10 years. His defenders denounced the charges as nonsensical, emphasizing that his absence from active duty was due to his formal obligation to work with NABU as part of an official governmental anti-corruption initiative. In a statement released on July 15 by 59 Ukrainian NGOs, they suggested that the case resulted from either extreme incompetence among officials or a targeted effort to undermine Shabunin's moral authority, as he continued to vocalize critiques regarding the functions of state agencies during his military service. Even members of Zelensky's own party, such as lawmaker Anastasia Radina, characterized the charges against Shabunin as a selective miscarriage of justice. The international community's perception of corruption in Ukraine is pivotal for the nation to retain the support of allies who have stood by Kiev throughout its conflict with invading Russian forces. Corruption remains a formidable internal menace, highlighted by a series of scandals involving the defense ministry, national prosecutors, and wealthy business figures in recent years. Zelensky's landslide victory in the 2019 presidential election was viewed as a crucial step toward shaking off ingrained behaviors related to bribery and unaccountability, promoting transparency instead. However, the ongoing war against Russia has complicated these endeavors significantly. As the conflict raged on, defense officials faced severe criticism for numerous glaring procurement scandals. Transparency International, known for its influential corruption perception rankings, previously noted that Ukraine had made substantial progress in recent years, a result of reforms aligned with European integration and international obligations. Nevertheless, the organization has reported a regression as of last year, indicating that reforms were either superficially conducted or intentionally delayed. In the 2024 Corruption Perceptions Index, Ukraine found itself in 105th place out of 180 countries, ranking above Russia and Belarus but falling behind Moldova, Hungary, and Romania, while the United States occupied the 28th position. Will Ukraine's move to consolidate control spark deeper issues with corruption? Or could it be a necessary step towards stability? What are your thoughts on this complex situation? We invite you to share your views in the comments below. ***. Ukraine's corruption cover-up. Zelensky's power grab exposed. A startling development is unfolding in Ukraine. The country's parliament has just passed legislation that many argue effectively dismantles the independence of two of its most crucial anti-corruption agencies. But here's where it gets controversial. This move has alarmed opposition figures, watchdog groups, and international observers alike, raising questions about Ukraine's commitment to fighting corruption and maintaining transparent governance. On July 22, Ukraine's parliament approved amendments that dramatically alter the operational autonomy of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, NABU, and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SAPO. According to opposition lawmakers and multiple anti-corruption watchdogs, these amendments hand considerable powers to the Prosecutor General, placing these critical institutions under his influence. The new law grants the Prosecutor General the authority to intervene directly in NABU's investigations. This includes the ability to issue directives, reassign cases outside of NABU, and even halt ongoing investigations based on requests from the legal defense side. Similarly, the Prosecutor General can delegate SAPO's prosecutorial powers to other prosecutors, potentially weakening SAPO's specialized focus on corruption cases. To understand why this is such a seismic shift, consider that NABU and SAPO were created in the aftermath of the Euromaidan Revolution, part of Ukraine's broader push toward reform and accountability in government. These institutions have been celebrated as pillars of anti-graft efforts. The bill passed with a majority of 263 votes in favor, despite 13 MPs voting against and 13 others abstaining. It now awaits the signature of President Volodymyr Zelensky, who holds veto power and faces mounting pressure from all sides on this intensely divisive issue. What makes the situation even more charged is the context in which this legislation was approved. Just a day before the vote, law enforcement agencies, including the Prosecutor General's Office, the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, and the State Investigation Bureau launched at least 70 searches targeting NABU offices and related locations. Approximately 15 NABU employees have become subjects of investigations, some reportedly linked to minor infractions like traffic violations, while others face accusations of much graver conduct, including alleged ties to Russia. The head of NABU, Seaman Krivonos, has spoken out forcefully against the changes, warning that such moves jeopardize Ukraine's aspirations for integration with Euro-Atlantic institutions. This legislation marks the effective end of two independent anti-corruption bodies, he said at a press briefing following the vote. Alexander Klemenko, the leader of SAPO, echoed these sentiments, describing the amendments as a significant blow to their work. Adding to the internal dissent, Anastasia Radina, chair of the Parliamentary Anti-Corruption Committee and the lone member of President Zelensky's Servant of the People faction to oppose the bill publicly before the vote, urged colleagues not to be deceived. She warned that despite claims that the amendments simply strengthen the Prosecutor General, in reality they erode the very existence of NABU and SAPO. Critics have also blasted the speed at which the bill was rushed through Parliament. It was cleared by the committee, passed by the full legislature, and signed by Parliament Speaker Ruslan Stefanchuk all within a single day. This swift process has fueled suspicions about a lack of proper debate or transparency. The crackdown on anti-corruption agencies and affiliated NGOs is far from isolated. Just the day prior, extensive searches and raids by multiple law enforcement bodies have furthered concerns of an orchestrated effort to undermine institutional independence. Allegations against NABU employees include espionage on Russia's behalf and drug trafficking, with at least one individual detained and facing serious charges. Cronies criticized the conduct of the raids, highlighting the excessive physical force used by law enforcement, which resulted in injuries to 3 NABU employees who were not even detained but still required medical treatment. This crackdown has not gone unnoticed internationally. The European Union expressed clear concern over Ukraine's recent developments affecting vital anti-corruption institutions. EU Commission spokesperson Guillaume Mercier emphasized that NABU and SAPO play an essential role in Ukraine's reform pathway and must remain independent to maintain public trust and achieve transparency. The EU's financial support to Ukraine is closely linked to progress in judicial reform and governance standards, and such controversial measures threaten to undermine the country's aspirations for EU membership and broader democratic consolidation. While the government frames the amendments as necessary to strengthen the Prosecutor General's office, opponents argue this is a dangerous step towards centralizing power and weakening the watchdogs designed to hold the powerful accountable. Is this a legitimate reform or a troubling political maneuver that risks dismantling years of hard-fought progress against corruption? What do you think about the future of Ukraine's anti-corruption fight? Share your thoughts below. Do these changes protect institutional integrity, or do they dangerously blur the lines of oversight in Ukraine's fragile democracy?